and int c is what x plus y I have done. So this has to be changed because this function doesn't know what is x and what is y. So the values that it knows is only p and q. So this x has to be replaced by p and this y has to be replaced by q. Now the same task is done but by passing the values. So the value that 10 and 10 is passed through the function. So the variables x and y will carry that 10 and it will come and give it to the variables p and q. Something like hand it overing the ball to the variables p and q. So now here when you come inside this function will know only the values of p and q, not x and y, because x and y is declared in the main function, p and q are actually declared in the function header. So this line what we write, this full thing, you can call it as function definition or function header, which has the return type, function name, and then the arguments that we pass. So the arguments that are passed here are p and q, and this p and q value is what it actually knows, and it calculates and prints the sum. That is, we have passed the arguments but we are not returning anything from here. So the task is going on but it is printed there itself. Nothing is coming back again to the main function. So what we have to concentrate here is on two types of variables that we use. So this variable is actually called as actual variable or actual arguments. Actual arguments in the sense what the variables that I declare in the main function and what the exact value that I really want to pass to the function is what is called as the actual. That means the arguments that we pass in function call can be called as actual arguments, and the arguments that are received there in the function definition can be called as formal parameters. Here in this example this is called as formal parameters. So the formal parameter can be anything. That is, here I am passing x and y, which is declared here in the main function. What the variables that I have declared, the same variables I have to pass it here. But in the formal, so it is not necessary that it should be p and q or a, b or c, d, anything. That is, whatever is passed there, so those variables will just catch it. That means for catching any variable will work. But the thing is, what the variable that you have used here in the formal arguments, the same thing you will going to use it in the function. So add function. So this example you can take it as passing arguments but not returning any type. So by this we have seen now, so two examples, that is two categories where we have passed the values and we are not returning anything, and the previous one which we saw, that is no arguments are passed and no return type is. Okay. So in the same way, now if I have to return the value from it, that is from the function I have to return the value. So to return the value, the statement that is mainly needed is return statement. So that return statement will always be the last statement in the function. Maybe you use it in the main function or maybe use it in the user defined functions, anywhere you use, but return statement will always be the last, that is coming back is something like that. So therefore you need a return statement there. What you are going to return from this example, that is the c value is what I want to return it from this example. So I have to return this c. When I am returning this c, so there is no matter of printing the c here in this main function. Therefore this gets avoided here. The value is passed, the value is calculated, that is c equals x plus y is calculated in terms of p plus q, and then the value that I have it in c is returned back. So when I am returning, so many things need to be changed. That is, the return type of the function cannot be void, so it has to be changed. It has to be changed to the type of variable that I am returning. What is the type of the variable that I am returning here? It is integer. So therefore the return type of the function should also be changed to integer. So what all changes I do, the same thing I have to do it here in the function definition also. So here also the return type of the function should be integer. So this C gets returned here. So when I have said that example, that is I have thrown a ball to the other court, so then I am returning it, in the sense the other person who is standing in the other court is also throwing back the ball. So when the ball is thrown from the other court, I should be ready to catch it. So when I should be ready to catch it here, the C is thrown to the main function, so then there should be somebody who is going to receive it. So when it is thrown, there should be somebody to receive it. So that's why I am in need of again one more variable which is going to get back that value. So that value we'll call it as the sum. We'll call it as sum. And this sum is equal to add of x comma y is the change that I need to do here, because this add function is returning a value. When it is returning a value, so it's the job of one variable, any variable that will catch what the value is returned from there. So the C is returned. So this from all these set of instruction, I get the value of C which is returned from here, and I get that value in the sum. So now the sum gets value of p plus q which is added in the add function. So now the printf statement should be written where? In the user defined function or in the main function? It is in the main function, because the value is returned here. So now it is not kept here, so that is, it is not retained here. So from here I am returning the value. So that is, sum is what the variable which actually has the value which is being thrown from there. So that means I have to print the print statement here saying that the sum of two variables will be the %d, that is the sum variable value. The sum variable value will have the added result of this x and y which was sent to the function. In this example, because it is very small example, we don't find such a major usage of this function, but I have taken the simple example just to know how the functions work. When the task is so very small, we don't use the functions. Only when the task is very big or very complex, then we use the functions. But for understanding, we have to start it with a small example. Okay, so there the p plus q is added here and the return. So just we feel as if it is just two statements that we have written in the function, but actually when the task is big, your functions will be very big, your tasks will be very big. So then the functions will distribute the task among themselves and they will do it again and again. Okay, so this is about I have returned a value and I have also got back the value. So value is returned and value is got back. So what if I am passing the value but not returning a value? So like this you can try out with different categories of functions. That is, you can try with passing the argument, without passing the argument, returning the argument, without returning the argument. That is, single values can be done like this any number of times. That is what we have seen in all these three example categories, is only one single value is actually returned. So now we'll see one example where I have to return more than one value. So till now what we have concentrated here is the return statement will be the last statement of the function, and it is one single value that is returned actually. So apart from the arrays that we consider, if we are considering the single variables, then always only one single variable value is actually return back. That is, return statement will always have only one single variable value. So you can never find here in the return statement, you can never find returning more than one value. So c comma x, there is no such examples where we return more than one values. So if I want to really return more than one values, say for example I am adding two values and I am subtracting two values in the same program, and the same sum and difference both I want it back again in the main function. So there we implement the example of returning more than one value. So with an example, we'll just look into the different arguments which are passed back, that is different values which are passed back. Really they are not passed, but we feel as if they are passed. So something like a magic that we do, that is using the pointer concept that we can use, so that we do the changes there in the function, but we are not returning the value, but here we get the value that is already returned back. So the same addition and subtraction example we shall consider, but we are passing the values, and also we are using the address concept by which the values are not returned back, but the values are actually got in the main function. So this is integer, all integers that we have passed. So we just see that what is the type of arguments that you pass and what is the data type of your value that is returned. So it depends on that what will be your return type, what will be your argument. So for simplicity we have just considered only the integer type. So when you have the values float, when you have the values characters or strings and arrays, so according to that we have to use the arguments and we have to use the return type. So this is the void, as we are not returning, exactly as I told, in reality we are not returning the value, but we get the value back. So for this, so it is again the same integers that we consider, integers x and y, and we consider two more variables called S and D. So one is to find the sum and the other is to find the difference. Okay, so there now I have to pass the values and also I should get back the value. That is, the function is add. I am passing the values x and y, and here what you have to concentrate here is on, so I am not passing the values S and D, but I am passing the value, that is address of S and address of D. So by this the variables are not passed, the variable values or nothing is passed, it's actually the address, so which are tackled here. So we'll continue this later. We'll go to the function, we'll continue that function, and then we'll come and see what we have to do here in this function. So now the return type is of course void, not returning anything, and then here it is int p and int q is what is getting. So there one more, there is two more variables that has to be passed here, is int star s, int star d, that is the pointers concept which we use here, so that the address is passed here and that is caught in the star s and star d. So now what we do is, here in the star s we do p plus q, that is in star s we do the addition of p and q, in star d we do the difference of p minus q. So if this p is p is same as that of the value x and this q is same as that of the value y, so then it is p plus q, in the sense it is 10 plus 20, it is 30, and the difference is p minus q, it is 10 minus 20, it is minus 10. So the value of this s and d has changed now. So it is something like saying that the name that we have given to the variable is actually s and d, but what we have passed through the function is actually the address of s and address of d. So there we are using star s and star d, that means we are using the content at that location, content at that location. So content at star s is changed to p plus q, content at d is changed by p minus q. Now you get 30 and minus 10, and now we are not returning the value from here, but here when you come and print the values, printf s is equal to percentage d, and that is sum is equal to your percentage d slash n, and your d is equal to difference is equal to percentage d, where we are printing the s and d values. So then automatically I will get the values that what I have changed there in the function. That is in the function the s is changed, the content is changed, that is this S value will become, according to our example, it is 30, and this D, it will be 10 minus 20, it is minus 10. The content at this location is changed, and automatically wherever I go, it is not just only the main function what we are talking about. If you use the pointer concept, wherever you go, in whatever functions you use, so they're all, the value will be the same, and automatically I will get the value. So here the changes is done in the main, not in the main function, that is in the add function, but I have got the values in the main function. This is what we say, without actually using the return statement, I have got the values in the main functions. Okay, so this is all about the basics of functions and the categories of the different functions that we use, so that to implement the modular programming. Thank you.